listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
As listeners may know, yes, last week I was away. I don't know if you mentioned why I was away. Did you?
Yes.
Was it mentioned?
You mentioned you were at a concert.
Did you say which band I was at too?
I don't think we did, because I just felt like that was confidential to you, and you get to disclose where you were.
Fair.
If you want.
Fair. Okay, so this was one of these situations where I got to close the circle. Is that, I don't know if that's the proper expression here or something.
Sure. Put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it, realize a dream, a goal. So
realize a dream.
Which is
that is so on topic.
It is on topic of this episode.
Tonight.
Exactly.
For sure.
And so when little Lisa me was 12, she developed quite an affection for a American rock band. Became an obsession. She grew out of it, or did she? Because last week I took in Kiss for the first time.
For the first time?
I didn't know it was the first time.
It was.
My God.
Yeah, it was. I felt like, it was a time in my life where they were like really important. Especially Ace Frehley. He really meant a lot to me and all of these things. But then, I moved on. I moved on to other things, other music. But then there they were, and this is their end of the road tour. This is going to be their last time playing in Vancouver, and I saw the show. And I just want to say, and maybe it's, what's the line? More of a statement than a question. But I'm going to just make a pronouncement. If there is some band in your life that you need to see because they're getting older, like Gene Simmons is 74.
But his tongue's like 20, right?
His tongue is 87.
Yeah.
Did he perform in the platforms?
They all performed in their boots. It was, everyone was in their platforms, their wigs, the whole thing. And I got to tell you, Paul Stanley is the campiest frontman I've ever seen. I mean, he was amazing. It was banter every song. Between every song, he made us like, he was very, and after a while I was like, okay, we're done. Like, let's just keep it going. But I appreciated the effort. And Paul Stanley is 71 years old. I mean, and I was getting tired. And I was like, all right, boys, it's time to go home. And they were like, we're going to keep going all night long. That's exactly how Paul Stanley sounded.
Would it be fair to say that they wanted to rock and roll all night?
And party every day. Exactly, yeah. And I'll always have in my head the number of times Paul Stanley said, like this, Vancouver! Vancouver!
I love that.
It was anyway, and also they pulled out part of the reason I probably liked them as a kid too was because the makeup, the horror thing, and I didn't know if Gene Simmons, again, they've been performing for 40 years, was going to do I don't know if you guys know Kiss very well.
Not really.
Pop culturally, I feel quite sort of uncomfortably familiar with them.
Okay. There's one of the parts where Gene Simmons just spits blood. Do you know about this? And
sure. I mean, I didn't, but I can imagine.
And he did it. And I was so like, thank you for bringing out all the hits, just give us what we want, and what I wanted was a blood fountain. And he delivered on a platform as it raised into the air.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. That's some stage technique there.
And there was so much explosion, so much fire, so much. It was everything I wanted. So I just want to say I was able to recognize a dream. And I know that segues into our episode, but I hope everyone out there, if there's someone, little you liked, I mean, it could, I think the Backstreet Boys or whatever, somebody is touring again. It could be yours. You should get out there.
Okay.
But I did that with Elton John on his final tour. And my wife was like, no, that's ridiculous. That is way too much money. And I was like, it's probably, it's his last tour. We're not ever going to see him again. He's no spring chicken. Nope. He could pass at any time. That was a little bit dark of me, but that's what I told her.
It's facts.
And then we went to see Rocket Man. And at the end of the movie, she turned to me and said, okay, we can buy tickets. So we spent a stupid amount of money on tickets. And we went, and it was great. And then the next year, bitch toured again.
Oh.
I will never forgive him.
I can see Kiss probably doing that too.
They've done it before. So
Yeah.
this is the thing. I think this is the third time they've said that. So I don't know if I'm on the final lap, though. I don't know.
I think it's fine. You know what? I like the fake out. Like if you as a band have been doing this for like 40 years, or an artist, solo artist, whatever, and you're just like, you know what? I'm done. Let's just let's bring it home. Like, this is cool. And then suddenly like you're home a year later and you're just like, God, I hate doing nothing. And you just, I miss the adulation. I have part of my DNA now is fueled by applause. And you got to get back out on that stage. Fine. You know what?
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. If they want to do that, I find that also I agree with the prospect of doing that because people want to see you still. I'm telling you, Rogers Arena was sold out for this Kiss show.
It feels dangerous though, because at my age, I am afraid of wearing shoes that high because I will fall and break an ankle or worse.
There's not a lot of movement going on, I'll tell you. It's not.
So they're on like these thick stilts and then they just rock back.
It's kind of like a
doing right now.
like a dancing in place.
I see.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's still hard on the knees.
They still, these platforms that are raising.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that either. That's frightening. That's
and
so
Paul
scary.
Stanley held on to a hook and went across the.
Oh my God.
Like zip line?
Yeah, he ziplined.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that this is sort of interesting to me always, Lisa, when I hear about you sort of engaging with something that you loved as a child, because you have historically been someone who's quite anti-nostalgia.
I know.
But I love it because I feel like sometimes when we get that little just that little extra vulnerability of something that you love from when you're a kid, I think that little nostalgia heart pokes out, and I really like it.
I'm blushing.
So wait,
Every
you,
once in a
Lisa.
while, yes, it happens. It's true. I'm glad I'm in a safe space, so it's okay then.
did you get another Kiss t-shirt to add to your collection?
I already had one. Don't judge. So I just wore that one.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I have my Kiss Destroyer t-shirt. It's the album cover, and of course, Kiss Destroyer. That's the best album.
Of course.
End of story.
Naturally.
So there we go.
Couldn't even argue with you if I wanted to.
But not for the reasons you think.
No.
Again, putting a bow on it, just having a dream come true. You're right. This is the perfect setup for this episode that we're going to talk about. And I'm really excited to dig into this with the three of you, especially. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And I'm Morgan Brayton.
Yay! Morgan's back.
Yay!
Listening to Pop This. Morgan, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We are just delighted to have you with us to talk about I Have Nothing.
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 Without you. This is, we'll get into it, but this is a podcast that covers figure skating. Obviously, Pop This is noted figure skating podcast. And
Well, we just covered Skate Canada a couple of weeks ago, so here we are again.
AG reporting live from the center of the audience from Skate Canada. And so also we got, what did you tell us, AG? A listener in Sweden?
Yes. Emailed or messaged us to say that she enjoyed our conversation about Skate Canada.
Wild to me. Thank you so much, whoever is listening in Sweden. That's so nice. And I'm glad you enjoyed the Skate Canada conversation. I feel like I learned something new.
Her name's Monica.
Hi, Monica.
Thanks, Monica.
Hi, Monica.
So yeah, I'm excited to dig into this documentary comedy series. But first off, let us do an official biographical welcome to our beloved Morgan Brayton. Morgan Brayton is a performer, writer, and producer who recently relocated from Vancouver to Vancouver Island, where she lives with her wife, an excessive number of cats, and a high-maintenance dog. She was the host of Out TV's Morgan Brayton and Other People, and a member of the live comedy thing, The Lady Show. Beloved Lady Show fan for all time, just letting you know. Carlos still wears his hat all the time.
R.I.P. I miss The Lady Show.
R.I.P. The Lady Show. As a film and television actor, she has appeared in iZombie, a series of unfortunate events, Some Assembly Required, Hardcore Logo, Psych, The L Word, Scooby-Doo 2, and many more. She is the creator and performer of the solo shows Girls Like Me, Raccoonery, and Give It Up. She loves talking about TV more than anything. Morgan!
Yay!
Welcome!
What a perfect guest.
Yeah.
Yay.
Truly. So I feel like AG brought this show to my attention.
Yes.
And
I mean, I've been hearing about it before, like way before it came out from my figure skating
Was it in skate circles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's on my skating podcasts. It was on my skating chat groups. Like everybody was talking about it.
Amazing. I had heard nothing about it until you told me.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. AG, do you want to read the background?
Sure. I Have Nothing is a documentary comedy series created by Canadian actress and comedian Carolyn Taylor. The series follows Taylor on a comical quest to choreograph the perfect pairs figure skating routine set to Whitney Houston's 1993 hit song, I Have Nothing. Joining Taylor on her mission is a group of prominent people from the figure skating world, including choreographer Sandra Bezic, two-time Olympic gold medalist Ekaterina Gordieva, Olympic gold medalist David Pelche, world champions Brian Orser, Kurt Browning, Barbara Underhill, and Paul Martini, and award-winning comedian, actor, and writer Mae Martin. The series consists of 6 episodes and premiered on Crave on September 23rd, 2023. That's from Wikipedia.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Lisa, would you enjoy reading the synopsis for us?
I would, yes. The story begins with the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary when closeted 15-year-old Carolyn Taylor watched Olympic figure skating Katarina Witt's free skate to Carmen in a red costume on television in her aunt's living room. Almost 30 years later, Taylor was in the car listening to the 1993 song I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston on the radio, and she imagined herself choreographing a gold medal winning pairs figure skating program set to that song. In the unscripted 6-episode series, Taylor embarks on a journey to make her dream a reality. She enlists Canadian choreographer Sandra Bezic as her mentor, struggles to clear the rights to the Houston song, learns to skate from world champion Brian Orser, and gets choreography tips from Bezic, Kurt Browning, Barbara Underhill, and Paul Martini to prepare before the rehearsals with Ekaterina Gordieva and David Pelche. The series culminates with, I don't have to say this again, Gordieva and Pelche's performance. Gordieva?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gordieva and Pelche's performance of a figure skating program choreographed by Taylor herself in front of a live audience.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful dream.
Beautiful dream. Morgan, how did you come to this show?
Well, similarly, not through skating groups, but through... I had read about it in the trades as one does when one is in the industry, and I don't remember what it said. It definitely didn't go into. I think it was probably once it was greenlit and before they'd started actually making it, and it was Carolyn Taylor choreographing figure skating without being a figure skater. I was just, I'm in. Yeah, whatever. Yes, absolutely. I will watch that show. So yeah, I was waiting for it to come out.
That's so nice. That's so nice. Lisa, had you heard anything before AG told us?
Nope, not a thing. And I feel bad about that too, because I really do love Carolyn Taylor. I mean, I was a big fan of Baroness von Sketch. I mean, that was one of my favorites. So yeah, when it was mentioned, I'm not the biggest figure skating fan. However, I am a big fan of that Whitney Houston song. Like, it is one of my.
I love that song so
you know,
much.
The way it shows up in The Bodyguard is just so much that I think I've told that story at the podcast that one time I was grocery shopping at the East West and that song came on. And I don't think they should play those songs when you're grocery shopping. I think it should be light pop or Motown or something. It shouldn't be like unbelievably emotional ballads. Like, that's not how you shop. But no. and I tried really hard to not get into it, but I gave up. So
you should never grocery shop hungry or with Whitney Houston playing.
2 golden rules.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, this was very fun, and I'm glad you brought this into my life, AG, because I don't know
I wouldn't have known about it. Nope.
Yeah. And I mean, I say this as someone, so like, I haven't watched Baroness von Sketch before, actually. I know that's a shocking
really?
Right I know. I missed a bus, and I'll catch it at some point for sure. Don't worry. I really love Mae Martin, and I've seen many things that they've done, including Taskmaster and
the flight attendant.
The flight attendant, they're great, obviously.
And Feel Good is great.
So I haven't seen Feel Good yet, but I want to see that. So,
have you listened to Handsome?
Yes, many times.
Oh my God,
I have not
very
listened to
funny.
Handsome.
I love it.
Great.
Love that
so
podcast.
Much.
Yep,
so funny.
Good. Good. This was interesting to me because I, having like not knowing as much about Carolyn Taylor, like, I found this very funny. I liked it a lot, but there were moments where I was just like, this is a little too much for me. Like the sort of the performance of it, the like, I am clueless. I'm willfully going to go into something entirely clueless and expect other people to do it for me because I'm not coming to it. And I understand that that's anyway, I got on board. Don't worry. But I will tell you, there were moments where I was resistant through the first like 4 episodes.
Well, I will just say,
yeah, I know
that figure skating fans were a little bit nervous as well because, like, you know, we're used to there's when it's like a comedy or comedic thing, it's so easy to make figure skating and figure skating fans like the butt of the joke.
It's like being a Nickelback fan, isn't it?
How does that follow?
Yeah.
No, it's not like that.
How dare you? That's very
What?
That's very rude, actually.
No, I don't hate Nickelback. I just know that they make T-shirts that say, "Can you wear this?" You know, they know.
It's a hard road to hoe. Fair enough.
Yes.
But, you know, apparently she made it really clear to all the skaters in the show before they came on board that, like, they were not going to be the joke. Like, she was going to be the joke. So
The buffoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the only way that this works, right? Is if it's, you know, she's the fish out of water and she's earnest and adorable and dorky and all the things, but that's all her. Like, and just the premise of it is ridiculous and stupid. And, you know, for Andrew, did you skate or did you, sorry, I'm looking at you on the screen and you can't see. Andrea AG, were you a skater or are you a figure skating fan without being a skater?
Both. Yeah,
Okay,
I was a competitive figure skater as a youth and
Me too.
was a huge fan ever since.
You both were competitive figure skaters as youths? Oh my God.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, the idea that someone would just be like, oh yeah, I'll choreograph a number for someone else she can barely skate. She can barely stand on skates, let alone have any, you know, choreographic experience, etc., is a little, like, that alone is a little insulting to skating, right? So it was kind of like the time, Andrea, I remember at a party, other Andrea, where I was like, hey, so if I wanted to write a book, I can just do that, right? And you were like, yeah, that's how that works. So it's a little insulting.
I mean, you can literally write a book. That's absolutely how that works. It's, the other part of it is a bit harder. Yeah,
exactly. Well, and so it is, I think it is the premise could be considered a little insulting to begin with. But yeah, I think she made it really clear that she was the dork in this, the dork with the dream. And it wasn't going to be at the expense of any of the skaters. And I don't think it was. I think they were treated
very
with
respectful,
such respect. Yeah.
So can I just ask, I don't know if I'm overthinking this show, but so one issue I have is trying to link up a couple of stories, which are, one, that she had this feelings in watching the 1988 Olympics from Calgary, stirrings, if you will. Then finding out for some reason she didn't know her family was obsessed by the Olympics. I don't know how you would miss that. Anyway, also, then from the feeling in the car of wanting to choreograph the song and then making it a part of her comedy routine, how does that become the show?
I have no idea. That is like my number one question is how on earth did this show get made? I spent the last year and a half working in unscripted television and working a lot with the development team. The fact that this got greenlit is so fascinating to me because it's such a hard thing to do. Everybody wants something. It has to be really, really original, but it also has to be accessible to, 4-quadrant. It has to be like parents, men, women, kids, everybody can watch it together. Like it's almost impossible to get something greenlit. And the idea that she was like, it's me, not a skater, choreographing for, it makes no sense. I don't know how it got made. I'm so glad it did. And I'm so glad that they took a chance on it because it is so original. It's genre breaking. It is absolutely original. It is Canadian, like unabashedly Canadian, which is like my favorite thing. Unabashedly dorky, also a favorite of mine. So yeah, I don't know how it got there other than pandemic. And we all got real creative.
Well, that's what I was thinking about is like, so maybe it was because she was like coming out of Baroness One Sketch. She did that one season co-hosting Bake Show. She did, she must maybe had like a development deal of some kind that like, and she maybe like proposed this sort of wild thing. Cause like, if she's done it as like her comedy show for a while, there's a proof of concept there at least that it's like funny. And so then to be able to take it to like a team and be like, okay, I think this can actually be, sort of like not quite a mockumentary, but like,
Well, that's the thing. Like
in the vein,
I can see how it would have gone as a mockumentary. And that seems like a fairly straightforward idea to sell as a show, is just kind of like, it's the hilarity of her, going into the figure skating world and trying to do this thing. But like, I just wonder, at what point did it turn sincere? Like, at what point did it become truly like her goal to do a good job with this and for it to not be, a joke?
I think it was always her goal to make it sincere and real. Like, I don't have any sense from everything she said in the show and everything, like, and just watching the number of times they go back to her performing that thing. Like, I feel like this was like, the more she talked about it, she's like the perfect person who like just talks something into existence.
Well, what I mean is that it went from being like a comedy, like part of her stand-up routine and comedy, to being like something I feel that was more like a sincere endeavor. I don't know.
Yeah, but that from a comedy perspective, it has to be, right? Like we talk a lot about truth in comedy, right? And that doesn't mean that it's factual or even real. It just means that there is a truth underpinning it. There is an earnestness that gives it, it allows the audience to actually buy into it. If you're sort of removed from it and commenting on it, it's a different animal, right? So I think that, exactly because it's so earnest, and I think the piece that, I haven't seen it live, but the clips that they show in the TV show of her performing the routine on stage where she skates and everything and acts out her
the
vision.
tiptoes and the chair.
Yes,
I can't
absolutely.
believe that move ended up in the actual end product.
The tiptoe and the eye pointing,
like
was,
that is,
but it brought the house down, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, for that reason. But I think that even that bit that she did had such a truth to it, an earnestness to it. I don't know. Like I've made an semblance of a career out of doing absolutely that, of like, I have a ridiculous idea. Sure, let's do it. She just happened to have a budget and people to carry it out instead of me and my rinky dink ideas, But that's like, that's at the root of comedy. Like, yeah, what if I did this thing?
You know
right?
what it did make me think of? The only other, and which is weird to imagine there's anything else like it, and it's also Canadian, Nathan Fielder. Those, Nathan for you, sorry. And I haven't watched the new show that he's done with Emma Stone or anything, but The Rehearsal, yeah. Oh no, The Rehearsal, no, the other one, the newer one.
Curse.
The Curse,
yeah.
yeah. I watched The Rehearsal, which is amazing. Like, how did that get made? Did you watch The Rehearsal? Did anyone
I
hear?
haven't seen that one. It's being compared to that.
Oh,
though.
it is. I didn't. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Look at me. I didn't know that. But anyway,
No.
but the thing is, it's not real, is it? Nathan Fielder's show is not real.
No, and his stuff feels more uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, just that idea of, like you were saying, like, how did it get made? How did someone say, yes, this is what we need? And the only difference is this show makes you want to cry and feel and like wish you had a dream. I don't have a dream like that. Well, I already experienced with Kiss, so I'm done.
Exactly.
It's over. I have no more dreams.
Wow.
Think of all the free time you're going to have.
Right?
Dare to new dream. So that's going to be exciting for you.
I'll
You've
try.
got a real period of discovery coming up for you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Where it sort of works the most for me and what I love the most about it is when we get these skaters and these choreographers. I love the relationship that develops between Carolyn and Sandra. I think it's really wonderful. It just, I don't know, the support and the excitement that Sandra seems to feel for Carolyn as she's sort of like really finally sort of stepping into these iterations of herself that she needs to do and be. And I just love, like, I don't know, just Brian Orser like dancing with Carolyn on the ice and like them working through these moments. Like, I'm such a sucker for behind the scenes stuff. I love to see how stuff gets made.
Mm-hmm.
So to watch this, unfold over those 6 episodes, like I was so all in by episode 5 and then episode 6, like just to watch the routine come together and to watch Ekaterina and David like have so much fun with it on the ice. Like I was crying for Carolyn. I was like, how is Carolyn watching this and not weeping? Because I would be weeping. Like, truly.
I thought the same thing when they panned to her face, because I was like, I would just be an absolute mess.
Just a disaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the smoke bomb stopped you from seeing
The haze.
The haze. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for a figure skating fan, this series just kind of builds up and builds up. Like, there's so many gasp moments where you see, like, oh my God, Brian Orser is teaching her how to skate. Holy crap. And then, like, you see, like, the current world champions, like the Japanese world champions in Paris, or Riku Mira and Ryuichi Kihara. And it's like, they are the current 2023 world champion pairs team. And they're like taking time out to do this show. That's incredible. But yeah, it just seemed like every episode just built on that until like finally at the end. And it's a spoiler, but like Katarina Witt, at least her absence plays like a big role throughout the series. And it's such a like gasp moment at the end, even though you know it's coming.
Totally.
Just to see her.
Yeah. And there's an interesting thing. So I don't follow figure skating. Once I retired from skating myself, I left it behind.
Too
me.
painful, the memories, yes.
I just let the young people take it from here. And by that, I mean the 49-year-olds like Carolyn Taylor.
Sidebar. I was just telling a story about how there's a 40-year-old Paris skater competing.
Oh, really?
That just won Skate Canada. Yeah.
Oh.
No.
So there's hope for me still.
Time to take those skates out
you
and
could
give them
make
a
a
buff up,
comeback.
eh? Yeah.
You could make
I
a comeback.
might need to.
What if you and AG did your own pairs routine?
We could, because also they've opened it to like all genders competing as pairs
great.
teams. Like
I
that's
haven't
a big
seen that
deal.
yet.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that was
love
one
it.
of the interesting aspects to me was the kind of new school versus the kind of old school skaters, right?
Yeah.
Elage Balde.
Elage. Yeah.
Elage, yeah.
Elage.
So great.
Oh my God. I didn't know who he was. And I've watched that segment with him several times because it was so beautiful. But he's like Carolyn, right? Like she comes from an improv background and he's like, yeah, when you're in the moment and you playing and all this kind of stuff, which is very different from like David Peltier going, you need to figure it out and you need to tell me what to do. So it's a very, very different vibe. And so watching that kind of the differences in the types of skaters, and I don't know, maybe it's not old school, new school, but I was kind of fascinated by that. And because skating has such a tradition. I mean, it's so gendered. There are so many rules. There's, competitive and then exhibition and never the twain shall meet. You can't do this in competitive and you could do this in, exhibition, but it's not competitive and, all the things, right? That to have someone who is so just, she has that great line about, I didn't think about that because I didn't think it, I felt it, right? And she just is like, let's try this. Oh, really? I'm supposed to choreograph things between the jumps? I nearly fell off my chair when you said
that was driving me crazy.
See, same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Can I just say, though, there was one noticeable absence, and I'm not talking about Katarina Witt. Was there one skater that you were hoping to see?
Are you talking about Scott Hamilton?
I'm talking about Elvis Stoico. Where in the
Elvis
world?
Stoico.
was
Well,
Elvis
because
Stoico?
this was really focused around 88.
Oh, right.
That
yes.
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Did we all watch the 88 Olympics here? Do we have memories of the 88 Calgary Olympics?
Not only that, but I went to a skate show here in Vancouver probably about 15 years ago, and I met Elizabeth Manley. So I'm just going to say, shook her hand, chatted with her. So anyway.
She seemed real nice in that show.
She was real nice. Yeah.
I like it. Good. I like to hear that.
But yeah, like Katarina Witt, her Carmen routine is just so like iconic throughout the figure skating ages from the 88
I watched it
Olympics.
after. Like when we do Film Fest with our nephew, when we have our sleepovers, we do Film Fest every weekend. And so we each get 5 minutes to show whatever we want and we go in circles until it's over. Which is usually they pass out and go to sleep. So I showed the Katarina Witt
nice.
dance. It was fun to watch because I had never actually watched it in full.
I kind of had to relive the childhood Andrea's heartbreak at seeing Elizabeth Manley because she had it was at the time when they still had figures. Figure skating, and she had sort of lost enough points in figures not to be able to win ultimately, even though she did so well in the free skate, but she came so close. Like it was just a fraction of a point or something like that. Like she almost won the gold medal.
That's like the time that before one of my figures exams, I ate too much peanut brittle. And then I was real kind of, and so my figure eights were like all jaggedy, and I failed.
Oh no, really?
Talk about your heartbreak. Move
Due to
over,
peanut
Elizabeth
brittle.
Manning. Yeah.
And then wait a minute. Did you take a crowbar to the shins of your competitor?
No comment.
Okay.
It's a test situation, Lisa.
I have a question for AG.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have figure skating dreams?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Yeah. That
I
feeling
still,
of
it's
jumping.
like I
and
haven't
stuff.
been on skates in literally decades, but I still have figure skating dreams, and they're the best thing in the world. Because I think figure skating is the closest you can get to flying.
I thought about that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like that. So,
Because you both did jumps, right?
Yeah.
oh yes, I mean not very high jumps. I'm a little bit of. It's just I was captain of the volleyball team in grade 7, and then in grade 8 they raised the net, and my career was over. I'm not a big jumper.
Fair enough. But
Yeah.
still, like I can see like I took ice skating, and then I went into like after you're done all the like badges with ice skating, you can go into like the next level, like figure skating 1, 2, and 3 or whatever it was at the time. I don't remember. So I made it through figure skating 1, but after that, it was really over for me. I was not leaving the ice. I was earthbound for sure. Like there was nothing flying.
Yeah, I think at a certain point, unless you really, like, it's not really about the love of it, it's about competition. So at a certain level, you're either going for it or you're not. And I did a little bit, and then that was it. But I was mostly in it. I choreographed some of my own pieces.
Really?
I told my
Wow.
coach to step off, and I didn't say that. That would be rude, and I was a very polite child. But yeah, so I was in it for the creativity and the costumes. Such as my solo to the theme from Pink Panther.
Oh,
Wow.
Which you can imagine was very, yeah. You can see it, can't
Oh,
you? Sort
yeah.
of like how Carolyn and her
I'm
magic
feeling
is
it
jump.
right now.
No, I didn't do the little run. If I could go back and do it over again, I 100% would. I'd do the little point and look thing for sure. But I had this beautiful pink, I still have it, this beautiful pink skating dress that my mom made me with pink marabou around the cuffs, like the little feathers. Oh my God. And around the neck, it was a vision.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I loved it so much.
Did you?
Anyways, I just made this about me instead of the show. So well done.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It
That's
ultimately
kind of what
is
this
about all
show
of
is.
us because we all watched it and had our own feelings.
Well, and we all, you know, we were being a bit facetious about it earlier, but we all have had a dream, and we all have partaken in the creative process, which this show also was very much about, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I've got a vision. Well, you're not done. There are a few steps still to go, right? And my ex is actually a professional dancer and choreographer, and they were always, I'd be, you know, in the studio crying and stuff, and I would always say, Sean, I'm going to remind you about how this went last time, where you sat in the studio and you cried, and then you finally got down to doing it, and then it won awards and blah, 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 and it was great, and everybody loved it. And then we're back in the studio and we're crying again because it's going to be terrible and no one's ever going to, and I don't have any ideas and blah, 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 right? Like that's the creative process. And we see that in this show. We see how she's like, I've got a vision, and then has to actually learn how to carry out that vision, and then actually gets, I mean, is she a good choreographer? I don't know about that, but I felt when I was watching it, I thought, oh, I would like to be directed by her. Like, I'd love to do a show with her because she's very, like, makes everybody really comfortable. And she learned all the terminology and did all the things and then, you know, actually gets there. And it's, well, it's time for the show and you're not finished. And all of those things that are part of that creative process. And then you're done. And she's like, let's do it again. I want to do more. You know, that's exactly the cycle. So I think it's relatable in all kinds of ways. For me, the flirting of Mae Martin and Sandra Bessick was
So cute.
Very
So
surprising.
cute.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wanted more of that.
I did not see it coming, and when it was happening, it was like, am I having a hot flash? Possibly, but
I just heard a rumor from one of my favorite podcasts, Who Weekly, that Mae Martin is with Parvati, a villain from Survivor.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a rumor that is apparently slightly confirmed.
Slightly confirmed. What does that even mean?
Slightly confirmed. Well, that they've been in each other's like Instas and like at the same events together, and
yes.
that in their routine, Mae Martin recently said that they were dating someone new who has children, and apparently this Parvati has children. Anyway,
but that was mentioned. But that was mentioned in Handsome.
On Handsome,
Yeah,
exactly.
because they said
there you
they
go.
moved.
Okay.
And how is it going with the children? That was a question.
okay, so
Yeah.
there we go. This is I never watched Survivor, so I can't say. So maybe it didn't work out with Sandra, but maybe it could down the road. Is all I'm saying. Maybe this flirtation could go up a notch, because I think that was. I was just so
steamy.
delighted to have Mae Martin keep coming back and like returning.
Yeah.
'cause I think
they added so much to the show.
They added so much to the show, and they were absolutely perfect for what they were there to do.
I'm also
So
very
perfect.
excited to know another choreographer beyond Paul Abdul, because that's the only other
Yes,
choreographer
well,
I
she's the
know.
top.
That's it. I mean,
She's the
yeah.
top.
I mean, if there's
all you need
others,
to
I
know.
don't know. But
Oh my God. I love me some Paula Abdul. So, I loved Carolyn and Mae's friendship, but I just loved, they just queered that screen, you
Yes.
know? It was just their conversations. I love when Kurt Browning hugs, Carolyn and says, "You're like a soft lumberjack." And then Carolyn says, "That's my gender.
Yeah.
So that's my gender, soft lumberjack." And then we just move on. Like, and that it just was so beautiful. There was so much, and of course the flirting with Sandra. But yeah, it's just I loved that it was unabashedly queer, in addition to being unabashedly Canadian and unabashedly dorky. But in that way of like how we as queers live our lives of like, yeah, it just is. You know what I mean? It's like there's no coming out story. There's no, we don't have to discuss it. It just is. And they bring the commentary into it and, the scholarly opinions and stuff. But it's also just, you're just like, hot queers. I'm in.
Yeah. And that's also why it was so nice to like see Brian Orser with Carolyn and like just like the two of them talking just passingly about queerness together and like what their sort of dance on the ice sort of means and stuff. And because I looked it up after because I was just like, oh, like I don't remember anything about Brian Orser's story really. Like I mean I knew he was
Battle of the Bryans?
Yeah, like I mean, I kind of knew a little bit about that, but like I mostly like just didn't remember much other than he's a brilliant skater, and so like his coming out story sucks so much because like he didn't want to come out, and he had to because of a lawsuit against his ex, and like the ex was I don't know, it was messy and it was sucked and just like for like it all ended up working out fine and like. Ultimately, like he's had a very, happy life by all accounts, and he's really cool and wonderful, and just I don't know, it was just really nice to spend time with him.
And he's become one of the most sought after, successful coaches in the world.
Yeah. Also, I personally had a big crush on Kurt Browning as a child.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. Little bit of a lamp pull for my usual taste, but I just really I loved him, and
You loved his ripped jeans and his fedora.
I think I loved how playful he was on ice.
Yes,
like I gotta say I've never much cared for most figure skating costumes. Like they are, to me, they're like the worst soap opera that I might have had to watch when I was younger.
I
you know
love
what I mean? Like
every single figure skating costume.
And I get that. I understand it. But for me, I like a good butt fit on a pant, or I like a good like cleavage thing, but I don't love just an ostrich's worth of feathers. Like that's not my speed.
But it's so
I love
camp.
it.
Like it's so camp. It is soap opera. It's over the top and camp. And they talk about that. There's that the interview with the scholar. I made a note of his name somewhere.
Yes,
anyways, the part that I'm talking about that he where he talks about. Here it is. Those codes are so baked into figure skating. To embrace them is to embrace the theatricality of the art form. All these apparently natural behaviors through which straight society expresses itself are already performances. Like to me, that's part of the appeal of it, right?
Yeah, that's genius. I love that.
Over the top and therefore commenting on.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the crystals that I'm not as into.
What? What?
Yeah,
I'm gonna sew you up a beautiful figure skating costume, and you're gonna change your mind.
I just like the surprise factor of them is that when they first come out and you're just, wow, now that's something. Like that is something I've never seen before. That's the moment I really love. Which just that surprise.
There have been costumes I've loved. I'm just saying, like, if we go to the heart of what I love about Kurt Browning, it's the camp of his performance. Yes. Like his singing in the rain routine, his clown routine, like all of these different things. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at as a, I don't know,
fan.
About the bald head too. Like his skull's kind of cool. Is that weird to say?
Was there anything else you want to share to us while you were watching this?
I know.
Yeah,
there's so many questions now.
Yeah. Wow. Were you having some awakenings of your own, or
me? No, I mean, I've never thought that I was actually that into skulls, but like, I guess cool. Like, it's always good to find out new stuff about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Yeah.
Not always. Let's be honest.
I'd rather know. I'd always rather know. That's my downfall. That's my
better the devil you know. Okay.
Critical flaw is that I'd always rather know, and I almost always regret that feeling.
Well, surprise, because Kurt Browning is here with us.
What a dream.
There you go.
You're going to have dreams about just like massaging his skull tonight. It's going to be hot.
That's cool. That's neat.
Okay, that was weird. See, I love how it wasn't weird when you were talking about it, but I talk about dreaming about touching Kurt Browning's skull, and all of a sudden we got a problem.
With some oils, some delicate oils.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. I think
we're going down some roads here.
Does this show pop?
Big pops. Yeah, lots of pops.
Poppity pop pop.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite TV shows of the year, I think.
Yay.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
I think it's successful in the that it is a docu-comedy, which is not is different than a mockumentary, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It is 100% it's an unscripted documentary series, right? So you have a plan and you shoot your footage and then you build it afterwards, right? That's cool. Like they didn't know what they were going to get. And obviously some of it, and I'll be honest, the stuff that didn't work for me as much was the stuff that was, I don't want to say scripted, but kind of adding that, but trying to add in the comedy rather than just letting it be there was the stuff that didn't speak to me as much. Like her having the assistant go and get ginger ale and bananas and popsicle sticks and stuff. I was like, but the sincerity of it did feel like an unscripted show. But then every once in a while you're like, is it? Or is this all, like, is this real? What's, as May repeatedly says in the show, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is part of the beauty of it. You're like, is this real? Is this all scripted? Is this, I think a lot of people until about episode 4, as you were talking about, that a lot of people didn't cotton on to exactly what this was. And that is beautiful to my mind. That is not something that we often get to see on television, let alone female-led, queer, as queer as it was, as, just so much about it is really, truly outside the box, outside the rink. It doesn't work, but,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. We also love to leave our episodes on some other stuff that we recommend. So, Morgan, as our guest of honor, would you like to go first?
Sure. It's not, this might be breaking the rules slightly. It's not there are things around it, but it's not a particular thing. So if you know me, you know that I have a lot of interest in cults. And
Yeah, sure. Well,
I had
good
heard
thing you moved to Vancouver Island.
Well, you're not kidding.
No, I
You're
know.
not
I'm
kidding.
not. I know. Yeah.
So, for those who are not as in the know as A-dubs over here, there is quite a history on Vancouver Island of utopian communities being formed. And one of them that I've been learning about, and I'd heard a little bit, but didn't really know anything at all. And so now I've been learning about Brother 12. So Brother 12 he was a mystic and wrote these pamphlets and such, as you did back in the 1930s, and garnered quite a following of people with money, as cult leaders tend to do. And he had a utopian community, an Aquarian community on Corsi Island, which is just off the coast here. And they would come to Chemainus to get supplies and stuff like that. And, as cults do, things were pretty good for a while. And he made all kind of money, and things started to go sideways, and he met this woman, Madame Z, she was called, and she used to beat the people to do their work. She kind of became his henchman, as it were. Anyways, things start to go sideways. People start complaining. People start going to the police about it and everything. And things start to go sideways. So Brother 12, who had turned all his money into gold coins and put it in jars and hid it all around Corsi Island, goes and collects all his gold jars and buggers off. And he apparently died, but then somebody saw him like a year later in San Francisco, so we're not really sure. But it's a fascinating story, and I'm totally I'm loving learning the history of the area that I live in, and just the icing on the cake is that I've got a nearby cult story to research. So my friend and I are planning to go to, because you can still the building that they made and culted in, I don't know what the right term is, where the culty stuff happened, still there. So yeah, my friend and I are going to go over to Corsi and take a little tour and find out more. So yeah, Brother 12.
There's probably books about Brother 12.
Oh yes, there are definitely books.
Okay.
Yes, there are books.
Yeah.
There's some stuff on YouTube and that kind of a thing. So yeah.
It's like all cult stories are different, but they're also exactly the same.
They're so often they are all different, but they are usually all somehow white supremacist, almost always patriarchal, usually misogynistic, and
funded by rich people.
Yeah. And funded by rich people.
There's always I always make the argument that everything's fine in the cult, and then there's one turning point. I think multiple wives.
It's usually rampant sexual abuse.
Yes.
It's never.
It's always
it's
the
just
multiple wives. You notice that there's a moment and everyone goes, really? Yeah, no, I'm thinking that's how this is going to work from now on. Oh, okay. And that's the downfall. That's usually what I notice. Yeah.
Except for Mormonism, where it's not the downfall.
No, exactly.
Sorry,
yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
Just had to get that little dig in there.
That's excellent. Really appreciate that. Lisa, how about you?
So David Fincher's latest movie, The Killer, is on Netflix, which is kind of a cool thing if you're a David Fincher fan. And it just came out on Friday, and I watched it already and had a great time. It's very silly. It's very light. It's very quick. I mean, it's got a lot of murder, but
very light.
But I mean, it's just a quick story. Get out of there. Fun music and lots of. I mean, I love spy movies, and I love any movie that has across the screen Budapest or something like that. That's my favorite. So it's one of those movies, and I recommend it.
Excellent.
AG, what about you?
I'm going to recommend this show called Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. It's an adult animated TV series. It's not anime because it's not based on any manga or anything like that, but it's just this beautifully animated story. Like, I don't think I've seen more beautiful animation. It's about this female swordmaster, Mizu, who lives during the Edo period, and she's mixed race, and it's about her seeking revenge and going on this like quest. And I wasn't sure about it when I started watching it, but like it's so engrossing, and I highly recommend it even if people don't usually watch like animated stuff like this. It's not for kids. Don't watch it with kids because it's super violent. Definitely but it's really great.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to recommend The Marvels. So I loved it.
Very mixed reviews on that one. Yeah.
I know. And I think it's sexism. Big surprise. Because it's all about
unprecedented
in the superhero universe. It's not that long as like a Marvel movie. Like it's like on the shorter side of Marvel movies. It is in parts extremely funny. One of the funniest Marvel movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Probably the funniest in parts. The other part of it pretty heavy since it's dealing with genocide. So, you got a tough balance, but Nia DaCosta, the director, brings some stuff to the Marvel universe that I can't even believe it was happening. The Marvels specifically is about Carol Danvers and Kamala Khan from Ms. Marvel is there, and Saber astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau, and it's great. And there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening here. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not going to. But I will just say that if you have been, hearing mixed reviews as I was before I went and saw it, you will watch it and you'll just be like, who are these haters? And why do they get to review things? Which is often my question. So, go and enjoy it. It's it's great.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yeah. Lots of homework for everyone.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Do you want anyone to come find you online?
Nope.
Great.
Just
Perfect.
just come on over to the island, and
So come find you in real life.
That's all I'm doing. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Not online,
great.
Just in real life.
That's, honestly, wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a real beautiful invitation.
I'm recording from our guest suite, so
Wow.
I was gonna say y'all are invited, but not y'all as in y'all who are listening, but y'all who are on the podcast.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't mean to
Okay.
cut anybody out, but if you need a place to stay in Chemainus, you can come and stay in our guest.
Do you give
suite.
a personal tour of the murals?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay,
I will
good.
tell you, I'm learning all the history of Chemainus and everything. I'm annoying the heck out of my family. I will tell you all the things.
Excellent.
We've got one of the mural artists is my father-in-law's like one of his best friends, and
Nice.
he gave us a painting. He doesn't always do just murals, but he let us select a painting as a wedding gift, and I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the giant painting that's hanging in you've all been to my
Yeah,
home, but I don't know if you remember it, but it's a giant painting hanging on like the largest wall in our living room that's it's very abstract, and it's like just a bunch of colors and shapes. So it's not in the mural style that he also did, but
Okay.
yeah, he's got a few murals, I think, in Chemainus.
Nice. All right.
Wow.
I will
Yeah.
look for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You can hang out with us on social medias, or better yet, honestly, stay off social media. It's totally fine. You can email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. You could, if you were so inclined, rate and review us 5 stars.
Those are our favorite. 5 stars. And thanks as always to Andrea Gin, who is our co-host and producer here. And thank you all for listening. And Morgan, thank you so much. That was so fun.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, that was so great. We have something now.
Something.
It's just like not quite the same, but
No.
like a nice part 2 of the song.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not as good as the song that May and Carolyn write, but we'll work on it.
What an incredible.
Did you see that they released a full version of the song?
Oh my God. I don't think I could.
I'm going to put it in the show notes.
Oh, yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing, the full song.
I'm a Pisces, you're a Cancer. Come on.
Oh my God.
All right.
So funny.
Okay.
Thanks so much for
Okay.
having me. It's always such a joy. Bye, everyone.